It's finally happened! The Switch 2 is here. Oh, okay, the story that never went away, that continued to disappoint, that leaked more than a sieve, has finally been confirmed. Nintendo have announced the Switch 2. Everyone said it was going to happen today. I didn't believe a single one of you, but here it is. They've dropped their trailer, their announcement of the Switch 2. And yes, of course, we in Handheld Gaming Land are very excited to see everything about it. Let's go over everything that was announced, some bits we may have missed along the way. This is going to be short and sharp and a little bit rough around the edges because I'm still watching it as I'm recording it.
Wow.
Let's start off with the release date. Well, we don't actually know a confirmed date. The only information we have is that on April the 2nd, there will be a further Nintendo Direct from them going into much more detail. That's probably going to be one of those really deep dive presentations where we see all the specs and everything about it. They're also doing some in-person events in different locations. I know in London at the start of April, they have got some hands-on events at the XL. So by that point, it will be hands-on. And of course, then I imagine we'll be able to start with the pre-orders because as yet there are no pre-order links out there, so I imagine that's all going to happen in April. I'm still watching this through and reading through everything as I'm recording this. It's that crazy, that exciting. I wanted to jump on it straight away. Well, actually Andy wanted to jump on it and then he said, AJ, record a video. Yes, so the actual design of it, like we said, so much of it was leaked before and it all seems to be pretty much bang on. So I imagine some of the specs and stuff that have been leaked as well, I would hold a lot more water in those as well. I know I was very hard and I didn't believe a lot of the accessories manufacturers leaking the specs, but it seems like they were bang on. First up is the screen. It is a much larger screen as confirmed by the specs. It does look like an 8-inch screen. We saw a side-by-side comparison in the reveal trailer showing the original size and now the bigger improved size. It doesn't say exactly what size it is, but it does to the eye look like it's going up to an 8-inch and it is likely to be LCD, but of course that's not confirmed by them yet. The bezels do look quite large on it as well still, so that's a bit of a downer. I was hoping that it could even get close to bezel-less, but you know, it is what it is. We do have the magnetized Joy-Cons, as everyone suggested. We reported on this for MobilePad months ago that this was going to be the case, that MobilePad had said that the new Joy-Cons will be magnetic, and here they are, magnetic Joy-Cons. They snap in and out. It's quite a cool design. It looks like it's going to be pretty secure. We have the addition of an extra USB-C port, so dual USB-C ports on this now, one on the top and one on the bottom. That gives a huge amount of flexibility for charging. It was one of the big downsides of the original Switch, especially if you're in tabletop mode, you couldn't charge it easily and people were breaking USB-C ports, it was reported. So anyway, we now have a charging port on the top. Great to see. It's quality of life improvements. And I think this is the kind of feeling of the whole announcement from Nintendo today, is that the Switch 2 isn't a revolution, it's just an evolution. It's something Andy said that he wanted the whole time, was for them to adapt a kind of almost Apple iPhone approach, where it's not to reinvent the whole thing every time, it's just to keep improving upon a brand and a design idea that works really well. And they've certainly done this. In fact, I would say it's odd that they've called it the Switch 2 even of itself. We expect Nintendo to absolutely revolutionize names every time they come up with something new. They always go for an entirely new name. The fact that this is the Switch 2 suggests that it is, again, like I was saying, more of an evolution than a revolution in consoles from them. And that actually ties in really well to the confirmation of backwards compatibility. We did hear that from Nintendo's CEO a few months ago, that it would be backwards compatible with some Switch games. They confirm it in this announcement today that it will be backwards compatible with physical and digital Nintendo Switch 1 games, but not all of them. There was a strange asterisk with that where it said some may not be supported. I guess they can't blanket say everything's going to be supported because there's a huge amount of third-party developments and indie developments that go released onto the eStore for Nintendo. So I guess they can't guarantee everything, but more details are going to be announced soon about the backwards compatibility. I imagine that will be in the April Nintendo Direct where we get a deep dive on the Switch 2. There is that redesigned kickstand as well, which has taken a bit of inspiration from the OLED. Yeah, great to see. It looks a bit more robust than the horrible little flimsy thing that was there on the original LCD Switches. There's also, they've kept the 3.5mm audio jack, which which is it's quite cool to see that kind of backwards compatibility with a lot of headsets and devices and stuff. That's nice to see that they haven't entirely got rid of it. And then, of course, we have the redesigned Switch dock, which is this more kind of slimlined, shrunken down and obviously widened to fit the width of the new screen design with a little bit of the screen poking out top. It exactly marries up to all the leaks that we saw leading up to this announcement of the Switch 2 dock. It's there, it's cool, and I imagine they're going to be able to integrate that little bit of screen that's poking out into the kind of the standby modes and the kind of sleep modes that the Switch 2 will have. So it'll have some kind of display on there. I imagine that they'll integrate that. If they've got any sense, they'll integrate that anyway. It would be quite cool to see. There was actually a few things that were teased and unconfirmed as well. We saw that in the leaks that the Switch 2's Joy-Cons has some kind of optical sensor in it, and people were kind of curious as to whether this would be some kind of flat mouse type mode for the Joy-Cons, which seemed kind of ridiculous when it was kind of floated as an idea. It almost seemed like they teased that in this trailer as well, where they had the Joy-Cons snapping off of the Switch 2 and then gliding across a desktop of some kind like a mouse. So it seems like they're actually teasing that that is going to be the kind of quirky functionality that we're going to see. There was a big question mark as well in the lead up to this with the leaks that we saw was the C button on the front of the Switch Joy-Cons included. There was no word or no kind of hint as to what this new C button is going to be. It is there, but no word on what that strange C button is going to do. But one other thing that we did see heavily teased all the way through it, the only game that we actually saw shown was Mario Kart. And it does seem like they have totally teased that the launch title for the Switch 2 will be, or at least one of them, will be Mario Kart 9. We are there for that. It's about time we saw a new Mario Kart. It is absolutely one of the best-selling Switch games, best-selling Nintendo games ever. So it makes a lot of sense for a new Mario Kart to be there. And they definitely hinted heavily at that. Personally, I think there was a lot to love here and a lot to be excited about. Of course, we're going to have to wait now until April the 2nd until we hear more with this Nintendo Direct plan. That's a long wait. When the date first popped up, I was pretty sure that that was going to be the release date. In fact, at the start of this video, I wrongly said it and then had to edit it out. Me and Andy both thought that that was the release date. We read it wrong. So we're going to have to wait a long time. That means there's going to be a huge amount of conjecture and rumour and even more leaks and stuff that are going to happen between now and April the 2nd. So no kind of word on what the release date will be after that. I imagine it's going to be pretty quick after that. It might even be the same week. Nintendo have done that kind of thing before. They say pre-orders available or orders available now. I do really like the fact that this and everything about it looks like an evolution. The fact that they've called it the Switch 2, the fact that the design cues are exactly the same, the fact that it has backwards compatibility, it is piggybacking off the success of the Switch and making it easy for everyone to understand what this is. People that own the Switch, people's parents that are going to buy the Switch 2 for their children, just everything about this is an evolution. It makes a lot of sense and it's actually a really sensible move from them. But there's a lot to be hyped about. There's a lot of questions, loads more questions, and I'm sure me and Andy are going to deep dive into these questions and any questions that you may have in the podcast. In fact, we're getting together tomorrow to record the podcast for next week. So perhaps we'll change what we're going to do and do a Switch 2 podcast instead. So if you do have any questions, any conjecture, any rumours that you've heard or any things that you'd like us to discuss, let us know down in the comments down below. What would you like to see on the Switch 2, specs-wise, performance-wise? What would be the ideal for you? And what would make you buy it? Price points, games that you want to see on there. I want to know everything that's in your head out loud. So write it down in the comments down below, and whilst you're down there digging around, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel because we need your love, and we're going to be covering the Switch 2 and all the handhelds that are on the market in loads more detail. So there's more reasons for you to come back and watch more videos. And in talking of more videos, there's going to be some slapped up by my face there for you to watch. Yes, isn't that exciting? So until the next time, until there's more Switch 2 news, I will see you next time.